After losing in the Big Ten Championship on Saturday, both Maryland lacrosse teams are redirecting their attention to the NCAA tournament. And will the Dirty Terps RPI allow them to host a regional for the second straight year? We'll fill you in on that and a whole lot more right here on the Left Bench.
At the end of the day, the thing these kids are going to remember at the end is dogpiling.
Definitely going forward, this is going to be a great learning experience for us.
Welcome in, everybody, to the final edition of the Left Bench this academic year. I'm Kevin McNulty here alongside Keara Bruno. Thanks so much for being with us.
And Kevin, you mentioned it in your intro, but we had two Maryland lacrosse teams competing for the Big Ten Championship on Saturday. So why don't we start at Homewood Field in Baltimore?
Yeah, well, I guess we have to start somewhere. Maryland men's lacrosse had never lost to Michigan before this year. Now the Terps are 0-2 against them here in 2023. Michigan struck first when Mikey Boehm went down under to give the Wolverines a 1-0 lead. Eric Spano scored 3 times in the half for Maryland, but that was hardly enough to keep the Terps in it. Michigan stepped on the gas in the second quarter with Boehm and Bryce Clay doing most of the damage. Clay notched his 100th career point on this unassisted goal, putting the Maize and Blue up by 3. Then after Spanos' third, 4 straight Michigan goals, including 3 from Boehm, gave the Wolverines a 10-4 halftime lead. Maryland was just out of it all night. The Terps scored just once in the second half, as Michigan added 4 more. What a moment for former Maryland assistant Kevin Connery, leading Michigan to its first ever Big Ten title. Here's Terps captain Brett Makar after the game.
When you're playing with as many young guys as we are right now defensively, and to my last point I kind of said a few minutes ago, when you have young guys that haven't experienced having to play the 2 games in 3 days, to have to bounce back like that, get into the prep, it's difficult, you know. So just missing his experience, I think, but I would say definitely going forward, this is going to be a great learning experience for us.
And things didn't turn out any better when the number 10 women's lacrosse team faced off with number 1 Northwestern in the Big Ten Championship in Columbus. The Wildcats scored the first 2 goals of the game, and Chrissy Thomas and Libby May responded with 1 each to tie it at the end of the first quarter. In the second, both teams were trading goals. The game was tied at 3, 4, 5, and 6, but the Wildcats were able to score the final 2 of the quarter, leading 7-6 at halftime. Coming out of the locker room, Northwestern notched 2 more for a 4-goal run. Thomas and Corey Edmondson then put 2 more in the back of the net, Terps down by 3 at the end of the third. The Wildcats tallied a few more early on in the quarter, and Maryland couldn't come back, falling 14-9. Maryland earned a spot in the NCAA tournament and will face Drexel in the first round on Friday at James Madison. And now that the Big Ten tournament has come to a close and with the NCAA tournament just around the corner, we want to take a second and highlight a player who's been an integral part of the Terps' success this season, freshman Corey Edmondson. Alexa Wooten has more.
Being that little girl from her hometown, being able to play for her state, and wearing that across my chest has been something I've always dreamed about doing.
For Corey Edmondson, it was always Maryland. Edmondson fell in love with the Maryland culture at an early age from watching her older sister's field hockey games and knew that the school would be at the top of her list. Similar to her love for Maryland, head coach Kathy Reese and her staff felt the same for Edmondson when she first started attending their camps.
She loves the sport. She's super competitive at a young age, and we knew early on, we knew she needed to be a Terp.
Edmondson, a local star out of lacrosse powerhouse McDonough School, was the overall number 1 2022 incoming recruit in the nation by Inside Lacrosse. And her coach guiding her along the way was none other than Maryland lacrosse national champion Taylor Cummings, who says Edmondson was meant to be a Terp.
It's been really awesome to watch her play for, the school that I went to, and a program and play for a program that means so much to me. And I see a lot of myself in Corey in the way that we're wired, and what our goals were when I was a player and what her goals are now.
Cummings wasn't just a coach to Edmondson, but also a mentor and a friend.
Be able to text her anytime now, if I just need to text her, the fact that she's so open and it's just wanting me to be vulnerable with her has just been a big help for me.
Continuing to follow in the footsteps of Cummings, Edmondson excels at Maryland as a two-way midfielder, especially in the back half of their season. 38 goals, 9 hat tricks, 20 draw controls, second team all Big Ten, are only a few things that Edmondson could only dream of as a little girl.
Look how cool it is to see a player like Corey start out being one of those little girls on the sides coming to games and then now being a star herself, and I think is just going to be a great player to have worn the Maryland uniform throughout her career here.
For Edmondson, it was always Maryland. And for Maryland, it was always Edmondson. For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Alexa Wooten.
And Kevin, Corey actually didn't play much in the first few games of the season, and once she stepped out on that field, she clearly started making a name for herself. So she's someone that Terps fans should be looking out for in the coming years.
Yeah, well, it's pretty rare for a freshman to be putting up those kind of numbers since she's had a lot of playing time, and the story's not over this season. They still have the NCAA tournament to go, like you mentioned. And I failed to mention Maryland men's lacrosse will be hosting Army at 7:30 on Saturday in the first round of the NCAA tournament. That's taking place here on campus at the University of Maryland. And while the lacrosse postseason shifts gears, we still have a few weeks left in the baseball regular season. And guess what? The Dirty Terps still haven't lost a Big Ten series since 2021. That's 22 straight after taking 2 of 3 from Nebraska this weekend. On Friday, Nick Dean had a tough night on the bump. Max Anderson took him yard in the first, and he battled through 4 innings of 2-run ball, exiting due to forearm tightness. But the highlight of this one came in the top of the 5th. Casey Burnham launches one just left of the batter's eye, and Elijah Lambros, da-na-na, goes up and gets it. Trust me, that's not an easy play. Bottom 5 now in the RBI king, Nick LaRusso clears the bases with a triple to the left field corner. Terps score 5 in the inning and go on to win 8-4. Maryland dropped Saturday's contest, but let's give the people what they want. More Nick LaRusso highlights, for crying out loud. Third inning on Sunday, and Nikki Lowe, see ya, 2-run shot to put Maryland up 4-3. The very next inning, it was Jacob Orr's turn, a 3-run bomb to extend the lead. Then, here comes 34. The Huskers maybe should have thought about an intentional walk. There's a base hit through the hole for 2 more ribbies. Maryland leads 9-4. And now let's move to the bottom of the 6th. Terps up 16-5, and LaRusso's up with the bases loaded. Uh-oh, a grand slam. That's 8 RBIs on the day and 84 on the season, the most in college baseball and the most in program history. What an unforgettable day for the Connecticut kid.
I think it's a very well-deserving kid, but I guarantee he would trade it all if he said we can make a run to Omaha and do something special. That's what you're going to remember. I mean, we'll talk about the records. We'll talk about that. They're in some book somewhere or some computer file somewhere, but at the end of the day, the thing these kids are going to remember at the end is dogpiling. They're going to remember those experiences, and he'd trade that any day of the week for that, but what a special kid.
Maryland softball closed out its regular season this weekend against Illinois and made some history while doing so. In Game 1 of the series, Courtney White dominated in the circle, finishing her 10th complete game of the season. The Terps also showed out at the plate, recording 8 hits and 6 stolen bases, taking Game 1 6-2. Come Game 2, Maryland dominated once again. This time it was Trinity Schlotterbeck who pitched a complete game, and she recorded a career-high 4 hits, helping her team take the 8-1 win and clinch the series. The last game of the series ended no differently. The Terps jumped out to an early 3-0 lead thanks to the Schlotterbeck home run, Sammy Woods RBI double, and a Megan McCamey RBI single. Mackenzie Greco brought in McCamey, and then Amelia Leck slammed a 2-run homer, putting the Terps up 6-0. Illinois got 1 run in the bottom of the 5th, but that would be all. Terps win 6-1 and bring out the Brooms, their first conference road sweep since joining the Big Ten. And Kevin, now that the softball regular season is over, that means we're a little bit closer to football, right?
Yeah, the opener is in 116 days to be exact. And as you know, Mike Loxley's Terps wrapped up the spring season last weekend with the Red-White Spring Game, and Lox handed out some awards after the game, naming FIU transfer Tyrese Chambers the spring game MVP. Chambers had both touchdowns for the Red team last weekend, and this one from Cameron Edge late in the third quarter gave the Red team a 7-point advantage. They went on to win 20-19. 5 Terps also received improved player honors, including Chambers' fellow wide receiver, Tai Felton. And now we're lucky enough to be joined by Tai himself, coming off his 75-yard day in the spring game.
Tai, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
And Tai, obviously the receiver room looks a lot different than it did prior to last season. But what do you think of the way, along with guys like Tyrese and Octavian Smith, have meshed together this spring?
It's been a very good spring and very productive. I mean, I fly out understanding the guys' personalities and how they play and how they work on the field. And I feel like Rakim, J-Bo, and those guys, they set a good blueprint for us, for guys like Jay Sean. Even though he's older, he's been with those guys already, like a blueprint just kind of for us to follow and kind of get ready for the next season. So I feel like those guys did a good job leaving us off well, so we know what to do, and they've been meshing pretty well. So I'm looking forward to getting ready to get some wins with those guys this season.
And now during the spring game, you were one of Talia's go-tos. So how has it been adjusted to being one of QB1's new favorite targets?
It's not something too out of the ordinary because me and Leah, we throw so much. We put in a lot of work this offseason, so we're used to each other. So him kind of be able to know me is my third year with him. I early enrolled, so that helped. I got a lot of extra time with him. So our time together has been very, what's the word I'm looking for? We haven't really done too much together, but this season is going to be really big. So I hope you guys are ready to see that, and I'm excited for it.
And what can you say about the way that Talia has developed as a leader and is going to be leading your offense in the next season?
He's a very experienced guy, so he's been here for a long time. He's broken a lot of records, so he's a guy that can make plays out the pocket. He's a playmaker. He's very emotional. He's our leader, so we look forward to having him and having him coming back for another year. So this should be a big year with him. So we look forward to following him, and he's our leader, going behind him and stacking up these wins.
And Tai, your career high in receptions and career high in receiving yards both came in the big stage in the bowl game last year. Was that a little sign of things to come for you in the offense?
100% for sure. That was just me getting my feet wet just in there. But I'm going to be putting in a lot of work this offseason with the guys. We're going to be looking forward to, as a whole, just improve our game and get ready for a big season coming up. So we look forward to getting there this season.
And before we go, you've gotten to play with some of those star receivers that are going through rookie minicamp right now. Rakim Jarrett, Dante Demas, Jacob Copeland. So how have they helped you along the way to prepare you for an expanded role?
They just expanded my knowledge. Since those guys are older than me, they taught me the game. They taught me the ins and outs of how to play the game, how to learn from Coach Brewer, how to take Coach Brewer's critiques from us and stuff like that. So they just taught me how to kind of get a feel for a game and kind of how to understand my opponent and just get me ready for every game. So I appreciate those guys, and those guys are going to do really good in the NFL.
Well, Tai, that's all we have for you, but thanks so much for taking the time, and best of luck next season.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Tai.
And now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll look at how NIL resources could improve for female athletes here at Maryland.
We'll also preview the fall sports season and look back at Kevin's time with TSC. Stay with us.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I have, I spend with them. It doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try to teach them. When they learn something new, and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Well, welcome back to The Left Bench, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. Kevin McNulty, Keara Bruno, and Keara. Hunter Dickinson decided not to come home.
That's right, but at least he's not in the Big Ten anymore.
That is a good point. Dickinson was the biggest name in the transfer portal this offseason, and Maryland was on the short list of teams with a chance to land him. But alas, Dickinson announced via Twitter Thursday morning that he would sign to play for Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks next season. After spending the last 3 years at Michigan, the 7-footer will join a Kansas squad that's just 13 months removed from winning a national title. Dickinson's commitment makes the Jayhawks early title favorites in 2024. Sorry, Terps fans. And here's the moment he told Self he was moving to Lawrence.
I am fantastic. How are you doing? Good. I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to come play for you next year at Kansas. You know what? I was hoping it was going to be good news.
While most people agree that the odds for Dickinson to win a national championship were the highest at Kansas, NIL may have also been a factor. Here at Maryland, the athletic department and boosters are trying to increase NIL opportunities for their student athletes. But women's sports seem to still be getting the short end of the stick. Sam Jane has more.
Maryland women's sports brings a lot of hardware home to College Park, but how are they competing in the NIL game? The athletic department's director of NIL services thinks that there's room for improvement.
Yeah, I think we definitely need a lot more support and representation for the female student athletes.
But NIL is a complicated issue, even for those who have studied it and facilitated those type of deals for decades.
Really, at its core, NIL is the college version of what I had been doing for 20 years, which was creating and activating relationships between brands and athletes.
Then there are collectives, pools of money from alumni and boosters which are independent from the school. Another way athletes can make money.
We have a couple of collectives representing student athletes at the school here and supporting them. We have Turtle NIL with men's basketball, TBIAF with men's football, Hardshell Collective with men's lacrosse.
Notably, there is no collective for a women's team at Maryland, and female athletes have noticed.
All of my deals are pretty much like brokered on my own, but I do think there would be more opportunities if we did have a collective. At the beginning of the year, there were like talks about us getting one. And so we've like talked about it and we've voiced our like concerns and our opinions.
So between
like,
Faith and Diamond and Cheyenne and some of them where they've built up this really strong following and they've been able to secure a lot of deals because of that. And especially when we don't necessarily have a collective that supports them currently.
Because then there's like people like Diamond and like Faith who, and even like Lav, who have like huge social media followings, like, and so they get like more of the deals, more of like the big brand deals. And they pretty much do those themselves too. And I just know that if there was a collective, they would probably make even more money.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Sam Jane.
And Keara, I certainly understand the revenue aspect of this issue, but you look at a sport like women's basketball and the popularity that we saw just a couple of months ago, there's no reason to me why there isn't a collective for that team right now.
Yeah, and women's sports has just come such a long way already, so I wouldn't want to see them go behind in this new age of college athletics.
That's true.
In preparation for next season, Maryland volleyball has made a huge addition to its coaching staff. Head coach Adam Hughes announced Ryan Emmerman as the newest assistant coach last week. Emmerman was a member of the U.S. national team for 5 years. He also played internationally for a number of years in places like Spain and Sweden and won 2 championships during his time in Croatia. Emmerman played at UC Irvine from 2004 to 2009 and returned there as the assistant coach last season. Now he's moving to the East Coast. And volleyball isn't the only team gearing up for a big season next fall. Our producers tell you all you need to know before fall sports get back underway.
Fresh off a Big Ten regular season championship last season, Maryland men's soccer looks poised to run it back. In Sasha Sarovsky's 30th season at the helm, Maryland men's soccer looks to continue their Big Ten dominance. Key departures include first-team Big Ten players like Joshua Bolma, Malcolm Johnston, Chris Rindove, and Nick Richardson. So the young bucks of Albie Andronica, Max Riley, and Colin Griffith are going to need to step up and fill those holes. With a 3-3 spring season, which included a trip to Portugal, the Terps look ready to run it back in Sasha's 30th. Now to Matt to talk about women's soccer.
Thanks, Alex. After considerable growth in Megan Ryan Emser's first season in College Park, Maryland women's soccer enters the new season looking to make it back to the Big Ten tournament. The key to that, former national champion Eden White. White spent 4 seasons on the back line at Santa Clara and will provide the key senior leadership needed for the Terps to make a run back at the postseason. Now let's throw it over to the Xfinity Center where Jonas has the volleyball preview.
Thanks, Matt. Maryland volleyball is heading into its 6th season with head coach Adam Hughes, and the Terps haven't had a winning record in the Big Ten since they joined the conference. Coach Hughes is looking to change that by keeping his star players here in College Park. That includes Sam Sire, the team's top striker, as well as the assist and set leader, Sydney Dowler. It's going to be an uphill battle in this conference. It's the nation's top volleyball conference, but this roster's experience has the potential to do it. Now to Alexa for field hockey.
Thanks, Jonas. Now, Maryland field hockey ended their season 19-4, and with the Big Ten regular season's champion title, and to add on, a great run at the Final Four. However, for the Terps, it was Northwestern that knocked them out in both the Big Ten championship game and the Final Four. And they're losing two big assets next year with Phoebe Donrat and Danny Van Rooselaar. However, the Terps do have one thing to look forward to, and that's their new home facility. The Terps' 5,500 square foot facility is turning into a 17,193 foot team house. Now on to Ricky for Maryland football's offense.
Thanks, Alexa. On the offensive side of the ball, the all-time passing yard leader Talia Tagovailoa is back, manning the ship. With the departures of Rakim Jarrett, Dante Demas, and more, Tagovailoa will have to throw to some new weapons like Tyrese Chambers and Caden Prather. The offensive line will look a little bit different, so head coach Mike Loxley will have to make some adjustments if he wants to make it to his third straight bowl appearance. Now over to Nate with more on the defense.
Thanks, Ricky. The main storyline around this Maryland defense, who's going to replace Deontay Banks and Jacorian Bennett, who both made the move to the NFL a couple weeks ago? Well, there's two names to keep an eye out on. First, Jaquan Shepard, the transfer from Cincinnati, who was an all-conference player a year ago with the Bearcats. And number two, Gavin Gibson, the sophomore, had a little bit of an impact last year as a true freshman, is going to have an even bigger impact this season as a sophomore. And you already know about the safety duo in Dante Trader and Bo Bray. They should be both in for another great season in 2023. That's going to do it for our fall previews. Make sure to keep up with all of our coverage on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. See you in September.
And Kevin, we just heard from Ty earlier about that new receiving room on the football team, so I'm interested to see how that plays out next fall.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's been increments of one, right? 7 wins in 21, 8 wins last year. They get to 9, maybe 10 next year. That is very exciting to see. I'm also excited to see how men's soccer competes next year, as well as the field hockey program, just because those are two programs that have been on a national championship level. Now, it's been a couple of years since they've been back. I'll be watching from afar, but maybe they can get there. That's what I'm talking about here. Keara, my time is running out with TSC, and in case you forgot, I'm the old guy around here.
I know you are.
So why don't I quiz you on everything that was going on in the world when I first started with TSC as a spry 18-year-old. Are you good with this?
Yeah, we're taking it way back here.
Yeah, I know. You were a senior in high school, I believe, and I was just starting around here. This was September 18th of 2019 was the first episode of this program that I worked on. Take a look here at what our shows used to look like. Look at that beautiful graphic. Jack Schemmel and Sam Payer anchored back in the old studio. The chroma key is all messed up there in the corner. We recapped Maryland football's loss to Temple in Mike Loxley's third game as head coach, and that was actually the last time the Terps were ranked inside the top 25. They started 2-0 with wins at home over Howard and a team from the ACC. Keara, was it A, Syracuse, B, Boston College, C, Virginia, or D, Duke?
Okay, so this one I'm honestly not very proud of it to say, but I'm going to have to take a wild guess because back when I was a senior in high school, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't even following the football team yet.
That's all right. That's all right.
So I'm just going to go wild guess here. Syracuse.
You got it right, actually.
Really?
Yes. Syracuse was ranked at the time. I attended that game as a fan. Maryland smoked them. It ended up going into the top 25, of course, lost that heartbreaker in Philly to Temple. And that was actually the same week that a former Maryland star announced his retirement from the NFL. Was that player A, Sean Merriman, B, Vernon Davis, C, Torrey Smith, or D, Darius Hayward-Bay?
Okay, so this one is more process of elimination for me. I know Vernon Davis was more recently.
I think you're actually wrong about that, but it's fine. I just need to guess.
A few years ago, I think. Torrey Smith?
It is Torrey Smith, yes.
Look at me go.
That was after winning the Super Bowl up in Philly with the Eagles. He called it quits in September of 2019, didn't play the rest of that season. Hasn't gone back, has done great things in Baltimore ever since. And let's go away from Maryland for the final two. On September 18th, 2019, which song sat atop the Billboard 100 charts? These are some bangers. A, Old Town Road. B, Senorita, Camila Cabello, and Shawn Mendes. C, Bad Guy, Billie Eilish, of course. Or D, Truth Hurts, Lizzo.
Okay. I'm thinking back to football season senior year, what we listened to. None of those besides Old Town Road.
It's not Old Town Road.
Really?
I remember that because I was a senior in high school when that was big.
Oh, really?
But it was still pretty high in the charts. It was D, Truth Hurts.
Really?
Lizzo.
I thought that was like my sophomore year of high school.
You were wrong on that one, but that's the first one you've gotten wrong. You're
okay, not bad.
You're 2-1 here. One more, and I looked at it the other day. There were some terrible movies out around this time. This was pre-COVID. This is how long I've been a part of.
I'm a movie girl, so I think I got this one.
This was before COVID, so everyone still had to go to the movie theaters if they wanted to watch a movie. But which one led at the box office in September 2019? Is it A, It, Chapter 2, B, The Lion King, the live-action one, C, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or D, Downton Abbey? I didn't actually know they made a movie about that show. But.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was a show. I didn't know it was a movie, too. I don't think C. That one I feel like was after COVID.
That's
was it A?
Tarantino.
The second It?
It was A. Yeah.
Knew it.
Yeah.
I'm a movie person. What can I say?
The second rendition of those It movies, which was actually pretty good.
Yes.
If you saw it. But thanks for indulging me. Obviously, we're going to say goodbye here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it
It's good to reminisce a little bit.
Is,
and how about the old shots of what the show looked like 4 years ago? We've come a long way.
We have.
Well, keep it right here because when we return, we'll dish out our end-of-year awards.
Plus, we recreated some of the top plays from the past 9 months. You don't want to miss this one.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, welcome back once again to The Left Bench, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Kevin McNulty. That's Keara Bruno. And as we start to wrap up here, we have to hand out some year-end awards.
That's right, Kevin, and we have some new and some old players. So starting off with our Pro Terp of the Year, this should come as no surprise. It's Kevin Huerter. Despite being knocked out of the playoffs, the Sacramento Kings had a very successful season, and Huerter was a huge reason why. He averaged 15.2 points per game, the third most on the team. Huerter also led the team in threes per game, shooting better than 40% from beyond the arc. Not bad for his first season in Sacramento. Congrats to Kevin on being crowned our Pro Terp of the Year.
Next up is our Comeback Terp of the Year, and I would not be surprised if this guy earns Pro Terp honors next year. You know who I'm talking about, Deonte Banks. Banks was just recently selected by the New York Giants in the first round of the NFL Draft. Quite a rise from the ashes after missing most of the 2021 season with a shoulder injury. Tay totaled 38 tackles, 8 pass breakups, and an interception against Indiana this past year. His comeback season earned him all Big Ten honorable mention honors, and his display at the NFL Combine made him a highly sought-after pro prospect. Congrats to Banks, our 2023 Comeback Terp of the Year.
And there were a few freshmen this year that already made a huge impact on their teams early on, but we had to go with Braden Urksa of the men's lacrosse team. Urksa has started in every game for Maryland besides the first 2 of the season. He's been a huge asset for the Terps this season after losing most of their starting offense. Urksa already has 22 goals and 21 assists under his belt and earned his career-high 5 points against Johns Hopkins back in April. And he didn't just earn our Freshman of the Year, he also earned Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Congrats to Braden on an incredible freshman season.
You know, the award shows should take notes from us. We are ripping through these.
We
no
are.
BS on the left bench. And now our male and female Terps of the Year. On the men's side, it was tough to pass on Nick LaRusso, obviously, but his season's still not over. There was no male athlete, though, who ignited his team more than Jameer Young. Young transferred up from Charlotte last offseason as Kevin Willard's first big splash in the portal. He became an instant star in College Park. The PG County native was named to the All-Big Ten second team in his first season at Maryland, starting in all 35 games and averaging nearly 16 points per game. Young always seemed to rise to the occasion this past year, knocking down a game winner right here in the win over Illinois in December and tallying a game-high 20 points in the Terps' upset of Purdue on February 16th. He'll be back next year, but for now, congrats Jameer on earning our Male Terp of the Year honors.
And we're going to stay right on the basketball court for our Female Terp of the Year because Diamond Miller was the easy pick. Miller was a star for Maryland every time she stepped out on that court. She led her team with 19.7 points per game, which was the most by a Terp since the 2016-2017 season. Miller also recorded 6.4 rebounds per game and scored in double figures in 33 out of 34 games played. The three-time All-Big Ten honoree finished her career with 1,706 career points, number 10 on the Terps' all-time scoring list. Miller went number 2 overall to the Minnesota Lynx in the 2023 WNBA draft and is already making a name for herself in the Twin Cities. Congrats to Diamond on being crowned our Female Terp of the Year. And as for our top plays, we've decided to have some fun with this one this year because, along with us, our wonderful producers recreated them.
Take a look and enjoy us embarrassing ourselves.
My name is Matthew Noose, and this is Diamond Miller's spinning and one against Ohio State.
Let's go! I'm Alana, and today I'm going to recreate Megan McCommy's diving catch. Let's do it.
Got it.
Is that it?
I'm Nathan Schwartz, and I'll be recreating Luke Zeisloff's diving catch versus Rutgers back in early April.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Whoa! Let's go!
I'm Alex Gary, and we're recreating Corey Deitch's grown man touchdown.
Baby! There we go! Come on, baby! Come on. Sit down, man! Sit down!
All right, I'm Kevin McNulty, and I'm going to be reenacting the most recent one of these plays, the Elijah Lambros home run robbery from Friday night against Nebraska. Nate Schwartz is going to be throwing me this ball. I'm going to go up and get it. Go. SportsCenter Top 10.
I'm Alexa, and I'm recreating Brian Rupel's triple save against UVA.
I'm Ricky Podgorski, and I'm going to be attempting this Malcolm Johnston bicycle kick. I pray I don't break my neck. Yes! Yes! Does it look cool?
I'm Keara, and I'll be attempting Callum Swanton Rogers' dunk on Hunter Dickinson.
Is this live? I'm so out of shape. Oh my god.
My bad, I catch up with Tom.
Yes! Won't go!
Rebound, Bosch. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
I just want to say you had a very easy time of it. All you had to do was climb a ladder and drop a ball.
No, I don't want to hear that because that ladder was not sturdy. I feel like I almost fell like 5 times.
Okay, that's actually a good point. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was standing there watching it, and I was like, we better
Be
get
careful
this done
here, yeah.
before somebody's hiring a lawyer. But no, that was fun, and it's just a good reminder of how much I'm going to miss you guys. It was a lot of time playing 4v4 with you guys. We got to do that again.
I know,
by
that
the
was
way,
fun.
Because Jonas was standing out the tall one, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
Was just standing out by the 3-point line. I'm like, I need some help, man.
Yeah,
You gotta get
I
in
wasn't
there,
any help
and
there
you gotta,
that game, so.
and you got to toss it up. So anyway, so much fun.
Yeah.
I love you guys, and it, you know, that's just a perfect summation of how much I'm going to miss you guys.
And speaking of that, the moment that I've been dreading, where I'm literally about to start crying, our goodbye to our favorite Kevin oh my God, I'm literally crying, guys. The amount of things you've done for TSC all your 4 years, starting to cry.
No, I'm not.
We're so thankful for it, and you have not just been a mentor to everyone here, but you have been a friend, and you have become one of my best friends, and have done so much for me. So we got you a little goodbye gift.
Of course.
And you have to open.
Don't open it yet because I'm gonna cry.
Oh, here we go.
Our goat of goats.
Oh.
A nice chain with the goat on it.
You know what? Low Goat Hill is going to be pretty upset about this.
Right.
Look at that. It looks great.
Because, oh, this is pretty sweet.
And we also had all the producers
show
write
camera.
you a nice little letter for our thanks to you.
This is awesome. Thank you, guys. I know I set the bar pretty high last year when got Katie a little gift from all of us. She deserved it.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of gratitude in my heart for all of you and all of you in the studio right now. There are no words for how much I'm going to miss this place and you people. And this is really hard. This is really hard. Because just like the athletes we cover, we put in so much work into this, and I want all of you to know that, and anyone that watches at home, that it's hard to walk away, and it's going to be hard to walk away, but I just am filled with so much gratitude for all of you people and everyone that's come before us.
Yes. We'll miss you very much.
Thank you. And that is going to do it for the last edition of The Left Bench this year, and mine forever. Be on the lookout for the Left Bench in Focus this Thursday when Matthew Noose and Jesse Schwartz take a deep dive into the Maryland men's lacrosse program.
Make sure to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you.